Welcome to TamerBowling Video Ball Reviews. Thanks to Greg Bickta and the Perfect Aim Pro Shop for drilling our test equipment. Today we are testing the new Motiv Chronic Paranoia. Our first tester is Greg Bickta, a righty high-speed cranker 450 RPM, and our second tester is Tamer Elbaga, a lefty tweener at 350 RPM. So first impressions, the Chronic Paranoia had a smooth, controlled roll. Looks like a benchmark type ball. Predictable. In terms of value, we gave it a 7 out of 10. The Motiv Chronic Paranoia is somewhat on the expensive side, and at this price I think it will be competing against other Motiv balls as well as other brands. With a very minor difference in price, people will be looking at top-of-the-line performance balls asking if they should spend a few more bucks and go for more. Overall, we gave the Chronic Paranoia a score of 8 out of 10. So what's the Chronic Paranoia about? Well, Motiv was looking to fill a hole that had been left by such balls as the Sigma Sting in the middle benchmark slot. In terms of controlled ball motion, they succeeded to fill that hole with the Chronic Paranoia. This is the kind of benchmark ball that will give you a nice idea of which direction you need to go in terms of ball strength and reaction. The ball didn't struggle for length, and it had a very smooth transition to the hook and roll phase. It is medium-slow reacting to dry boards. That yields an archy ball reaction with a very predictable shape. So Greg was our first tester, and he was fairly square with the ball, targeting something around 12 at the arrows to 7 at the break point to find a nice flush shot. The ball doesn't store enough energy for a big looping motion. It does need to be a little bit more direct, and then you see a nice arcing, heavy roll into the pocket. Greg found missing out was not good, as the ball will just not make the turn due to its smoothness. Missing in was more forgiving. When comparing to his Paranoia, he was targeting 16 to 6, so you can see that the Paranoia stores lots more energy and is more punchy down lane. It still has a hallmark smoothness that we've come to know from Motiv, but definitely more reactive down lane. Greg generated about 5.5 degrees of entry angle with the Chronic Paranoia as compared to 6.5 with the Paranoia. I was the second tester, and I saw a very similar motion, but because I'm more speed rev matched than Greg, maybe a little on the rev dominant side at times, I saw more forgiveness in getting the ball to hook up, meaning I was able to get a little deeper than Greg and throw it even further away from the pocket. I found a shot with many different lines and angles. I could go 12 to 9, 14 to 5, and anything in between. Again, that's what you want to see from a benchmark ball, especially when you're not zoned in and spray the lane a bit. Of course, you may not always carry from anywhere, but you want a ball that will have the forgiveness to get you to the pocket more often. Comparing the Chronic Paranoia to the Sigma Sting, they got very similar length. Almost identical, but the Sigma Sting made a slightly bigger move to the pocket. That difference is likely due to the slight differences in the surface finish between the two. The Sting has pearl in the cover while the Chronic is a solid. Both balls had a similar surface finish at about 4,000 grit. I was able to generate between 6 and 6.5 degrees of entry angle with the Chronic and around 6.5 to 7 with the Sting. And here's a nuance we noted. The Chronic Paranoia got good length. That was never really an issue for either one of us. However, I felt that it hooked up just a tad later than I wanted for a benchmark ball. I feel like adding a little surface might make this ball start up a little sooner and give it a little more punch down lane and continuation through the pins on this medium condition. So final thoughts. Ultimately, the Motiv Chronic Paranoia looks to be a middle-of-the-road benchmark rolly ball. While I would have liked to see an overall slightly stronger ball and a bit more down lane motion to better balance its place in the Motiv lineup, that could be resolved by changing the surface. The solid cover has changed the motion from later down lane with the original Paranoia to much more mid-lane. That makes it an ultimately predictable benchmark. If it's not the right ball for the moment, it definitely lets you know which direction to go. In the extra shots, we try to give you a sense of what happens when you don't throw the ball well or where the limits are. For Greg, as his tendency to become a bit more speed dominant, he sees this ball blow through the break point. It's too archy to help him out. Missing in is better. For me, I can lose the ball to the outside off my hand, basically a pitch out, or become slightly rev dominant. So I tend to see the opposite of Greg. I rarely blow through the break point, but the smoothness of this ball saved me from leaving big splits through the face. The ball did surprise me by carrying a huge miss to the outside.
Thank you for watching TamerBowling Video Ball Reviews.